Hello friends, today we are going to study the second chapter from class 10th, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. Well, I strongly believe that vocabulary is the soul of language and it only makes the writing effective. So whichever chapters children study or you go through, you must remember the vocabulary used in that particular chapter. So first of all, I will discuss the difficult words used in this, like apartheid means policy of racial discrimination. Dignitaries, eminent persons. Eminent means important or renowned persons. Besieged means surrounded. Emancipation means freedom from restriction. Deprivation means a state of not having one's benefits. Despised means hated. And brutality means cruelty. Resilience, ability to deal with any hardships. Here, reaped means taken away and animated means gave life. Let's begin. First of all, let's know what is this story about. Well, it is an excerpt taken from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela, and the name of autobiography is the same, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. So this is a small excerpt taken from the same autobiography. In this, Nelson Mandela has explained his sufferings and the sacrifices of the South Africans who sacrificed their lives for the freedom of the country. And he has also discussed the condition or the situation when there was rule of the whites, and after 1994 what would be the situations. So let's begin the story. It begins with the inauguration, which is to take place on 10th May 1994. Actually, first time in democratic election Nelson Mandela won, and he has been elected as the president of South Africa, and today he was going to take place. Well, before some days he has been besieged by dignitaries, and dignitaries have come from around 140 countries. Yes, so from the world leaders have come to South Africa. The leaders or the countries which earlier outlaws, which earlier actually defied, did not give entry to South Africa. But now the same leaders from different countries have come to South Africa to welcome and to greet democracy, to be the part of this oath ceremony. This is to take place at MP Theatre in Pretoria, and this is the inauguration of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. Yes, so in the swearing-in ceremony, as I said, a lot of world leaders had come there to welcome. So the situation was very colorful. The whites and the blacks and the people from different countries and different places had gathered together to welcome and witness the occasion. The swearing-in ceremony of Nelson Mandela. He was accompanied by his daughter Zenani and Mr. De Klerk. He took oath first as the second deputy president, and then Mr. Thabo Mbeki took place as the first deputy president, and then was the turn of Nelson Mandela to take oath as the president, the first president of South Africa. So he became the non-racial first president of South Africa, and then he delivered a speech. So some part of a speech is also mentioned there in the book, in which he tries to recollect the memory of the past. Like, the people had suffered a lot. The blacks were tortured by the whites, but now now that is the end of that torture, and the first non-racial government was to be established. And he is promising to the people that he will try to end the deprivation, bonded labor, poverty, and any other kind of discrimination. And the sun which has risen today will never set. Never, never, and never again South Africa will come under any operation, under any rule, under any country. Yes, that is the promise of Nelson Mandela at the time of taking place. And display of the military power of South Africa, as you see there on 26 January at the time of parade, or the 15th August, you see there, the jets and the helicopters fly over that area. The same thing happened there, that the South African jets and helicopters flew over the building amphitheater buildings, right? And they were showing their show, right? The whites, and it was actually the loyalty. They were showing the loyalty to the democracy and the government. Before that, see, that very day, Nelson Mandela was saluted by the generals of South Africa, Army of South Africa, and by the same generals, the same army, the same soldiers. They had arrested him a few years ago, and they were saluting him today. So time had entirely changed, right? That was the country had achieved emancipation, freedom from restriction, as it was at the time of the whites when they had ruled or controlled. Well, at the time of swearing in ceremony, two national anthems were sung. One for the whites, which was sung earlier, that was Kosi Sikalel Africa, and for the blacks it was Diastem. It was only the meaning that now there is equality. Now there is no discrimination. Then too, whites had exploited the blacks, but blacks will not exploit or not make any kind of discrimination. It only set the benchmark of equality. Then apartheid and South Africa, it described like what was the condition before that when there was apartheid. It was very harsh society created or established by the whites, where blacks were tortured and exploited very badly, right? And it created a deep lasting wound on his country and its people, and it was very difficult to forget so soon. Now he regretted and he remembered the freedom fighters. He could not thank those freedom fighters who sacrificed their lives. He took the names. He regretted the loss of thousands of people like Oliver, Tambos, Walters, Sisulu, Chief Luthuli, etc. And he said the very important line: due to the apartheid, that situation was created that produced such leaders. Means deep tragedy is the school of great men. When there are big problems, yes, the big talents emerge. Yes, so he dedicates to that apartheid that due to that problem, harsh society, such great souls, great leaders, great revolutionaries were produced there in the country. And now he feels very pain that he was unable to thank them. He was unable to show them the condition of the country now. So he was regretting that they are not there, and he felt that he was the sum of all those leaders. Yes, so he could not thank, so he was regretting for the same. Goodness and duties of a man. He simply feels that no one is born hating others. When a child takes birth, he has to learn to hate others. So it's easy to learn how to love others than to hate others. So one should be taught loving others, respecting others, living together, right, and living in harmony, not to hate others. Duties to the time when the country was under the whites, that very time people were not free to perform their duties. Actually, people have two kinds of duties, like the duties to the family and the family, and the duties to the country. Yes, so they were not able to perform their duties. Now, meaning of freedom by Mandela. Actually, when Mandela was there in the jail, he was jailed for 30 years, and there with the comrades, with his companions, he learned that what is the meaning of fear and what is the meaning of courage. He simply felt that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Courage is not the absence of fear. When there is no fear, that is not the courage. Courage actually means the triumph, means victory over it. Yes, that is the meaning of courage that he learned from his comrades, companions. And then he discusses, at the end, he discusses about his childhood, like when he was a child, what was freedom mean to him in the childhood. As a kid, freedom meant to him like running in the field, staying out at night, going wherever he wanted. That was freedom to him. When he grew older, freedom of livelihood for himself and his family. He began to feel that, he was able to earn money, he was able to survive for the family. That was only freedom. Over the time, he realized that his brothers and sisters were not free. They were not able to perform duties for the country, and duties. They were not able to perform the duties as a son, as father, and as husband. And then he realized the hunger for freedom, and after that he began to struggle for the same, and he had to be there in the jail for 30 years. Last, he simply said that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. It means oppressor means who dominates others. Like, for example, we were under the rule of Britishers. So Britishers can be called oppressors and we can be called oppressed. So oppressor must be liberated. They must be free. They must be freed from what? Just as surely as the oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. It is a deep philosophy. A man who snatches the freedom of others, he is also a prisoner of hatred. A prisoner of hatred, right? He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. It means he has very small thinking, narrow thinking. He has his thinking is very narrow, and he cannot think broadly. I'm not truly free if I'm taking away someone else's freedom. Just as surely I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. Naturally, when freedom is taken from me, I am not free. Same way, the person who snatches our freedom, he is also not free. He is the prisoner of hatred. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed by their humanity. It means both are actually robbed. Both actually have to suffer. So both have to be liberated, right? Then only there can be equality, there can be harmony, and the peace will prevail there in the world. I really or we should even respect the philosophy of Nelson Mandela, and we respect him even today for his philosophy. I hope you understand the chapter, and you should be able to write the answers also of the chapter given there in the book, or there from the middle of the chapter as well. So thank you.